So I would like to welcome everyone in the second panel of this conference. And I would like to start with a little bit of warm-up question. Where can young people be reached, and what are considered the most successful channels for communicating with young people? This will be my first questions. And if you would like to just grab the microphone, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, I'm Chaya. I run an account called Libs of TikTok. So we started on social media. We're really big on social media, and I think that's obviously where young people could be reached. 90% of youth aged 18 to 29 say that they use YouTube. That number is about like 80% for Meta, and then Twitter. So these people are on social media. I know for like our demographics, so we have 4.5 million followers on Twitter. Twitter, unfortunately, doesn't give us the breakdown in demographics, but Meta does, and we have a couple million on Meta. And we have something like 40% of our followers are in that age category. So I think that the youth, which shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone, but they're on social media, and they're looking for content. They're looking for interesting content, engaging content, and they're looking for new content. I think like we get on average, a day we get more views than any other TV show, and then CNN, then Fox. We have more views. That's where people are. That's where they're looking for news and content.
Yeah, in terms of political communication, it depends which young people you want to reach, I think. In the UK, if you want to reach just your average student, young person in their 20s, yes, social media definitely is the biggest. I don't think I know anyone who watches live TV anymore, is watching the news. No one's buying newspapers, and I work in media, and people are not really even using news websites. It's just when an article is shared on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever people are using it, that they are clicking on that, and that relies on shares and engagements. But in the UK, for political communication, we've got a large immigrant population who are not really getting their opinions from social media, more from their family and the culture that they've brought with them. And a lot of people are told how to vote by their family, and so they're not going to be influenced by sort of conservative political accounts in the same way that a lot of British young people are.
So, welcome everyone. I'm a social scientist who mainly focuses on young people, so my experiences come from this. And as I have mentioned in my presentation, most of young people encounter political content on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, or other social media apps. And we know that it is not a real social media, but TikTok or Instagram, at least here in Hungary. This shows that political information can reach young people on platforms they already use every day. And most of them, it's not that they are actively searching for political posts. These appear in their feeds thanks to the algorithms, recommendations, and viral content or videos. So it is very natural because they are not actively searching for it, but it appears where young people spend most of their time. And when it comes to the offline world, things are different as well, because most of young people don't attend many political events anymore, and they very skeptical of anything that feels too staged or over-organized, but they can still be reached just more I don't know, casual cultural settings like festivals, workshops, university communities, or co-working places. So what is important here is that the places young people like, both online or offline, are more personal, interactive and fluid. So if you want to reach young people, then you should meet them where they already are, on the platform they use, in the formats they like, and with a tone that doesn't sound like it comes from other times.
Thank you. My next question is about the unified younger generation. So, can we talk about a unified young generation? Do they still have a shared generational experiences, or have personalized entertainment and optional culture separated them from one another? We already heard about the immigration, so the changes and the challenges about the immigration but can they be in this unified young generation? So are they the part of this generation?
I think it's totally accurate that we don't have the unified cultural experiences anymore. I think when I was a child, Saturday night television, everyone was watching the same show. You would go into school on Monday and all be talking about the same thing. But now we have Netflix and streaming platforms where you can choose whatever you're consuming, and it is, you could be watching something totally different to all of your peers. But I think that what unifies generations is not culture, it's political moments. Think back to 1968 in France when there were riots, and I'm going to bring Roger Scruton into this. He was there and he saw the middle class students lifting up the cobblestones and throwing them at the police officers, and he didn't have his views sort of solidified at that point, but he thought, if that's what the left are doing, I'm not with them. But that was unifying them at the time. The Berlin Wall in 1989, for my generation, it would be Brexit in the UK, lockdown, George Floyd, if you're on board with that stuff. So culture, independent of politics, has less meaning at a longer time horizon. I think people from my parents' generation, they're not unified by the Beach Boys, but sort of memories of Vietnam War instead.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I'm not that old, I'm 30, but when I was a kid, men couldn't get pregnant, and there were only two genders. And now there's men could get pregnant officially, according to the left, and there's 70 million genders. So things definitely changed, but I think that that with social media, which is where the youth are at, according to all the research, I think it helps to unify everyone, because we all can we can all share like Fleur said, like in a political moment, like a George Floyd moment, or like a Charlie Kirk assassination moment. We are all, whether you're a child or you're an elderly person, we're all sharing in the moment together on social media. We have it at our fingertips in a second. And whether you're in Hungary or you're in the U.S. or wherever you are in the world, we're sharing the moment together. Any age bracket, any demographic, anywhere in the world. And I think that's really the power, that's really the really strong power of social media. So like it used to be more, before social media, it was really based on your demographic, your location, where you would experience certain cultural trends, social trends. And now that gap is really becoming smaller and smaller.
Thank you.
So from my perspective, I can completely agree with you, Fleur, and the previous panel discussion, because I can remember that you also mentioned. So I think that if we look at young people, then the honest answer is that the single unified youth generation has broken down, and that's mainly because technology has actively reshaped how young people socialize, how they consume culture, and even how they form political opinion. As you have already mentioned, 20 years ago, most of young people watched the same television programs, listened to the same music, and participated in the same big cultural moments. Today, almost every young people live in their own algorithmic bubbles and their way of thinking, and also even their values are reshaped by highly personalized technological environment. It, of course, doesn't mean that they have nothing in common, because there are still major shared experiences that define them, as you already mentioned. So the climate crisis, the pandemic years, or even the transition to digital education and work. And I wouldn't say that young people are united by shared culture anymore, not in the traditional sense, but they are united by shared conditions, uncertainty, the rapid change, and the sense that the future are more uncertain for them than for their parents. So from this perspective, young people are far away from a united or, a homogeneous social group. But in fact, they are more diverse than before. But we still see some major societal changes that influence young people, both in Hungary or in the United States. And young people come from very different backgrounds, but the challenges they have to face are quite similar, whether they are here or across the ocean. So what do we know for sure? That over the last couple of decades there have been considerable societal changes that have a strong impact on the lives of young people. And all of these profound changes have a strong influence young people's sense of security. And another important change is what we can call post-adolescence, which is a long transition between adolescence and adulthood. And we can observe that over the last couple of decades, the youth life stage has expanded and changed. So today, young people stay in education longer, enter the labor market later, move out of the family nest later, and they regularly postpone starting a family in their early 30s. And this expanded phase brings a lot of uncertainty, while young people are still trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in life. But this lack of stability can cause a lot of damage of them. So this is why I think that we should talk a lot about these societal changes.
As I was listening to all of your answers, I was thinking about then we have a very interesting phenomena here, because the offline world is actually almost looks like the same for everyone, but the online world it's like optional, as you already mentioned. But between this optionality and in the online world and the regularity or the sameness of the offline world, it creates like a problem between the two different word views. And what I see about this question is then as the young people are reacting to this offline world, they see then, okay, this is not virtual, this reality, we have to live in this. But after they just escaping from this offline world into the online world where they can do anything what they want. It's like a big like cartoon or whatever. So it's like it's a big tale, by the way, with all the virtuality and all the optionality. So it was just a quick remark by myself, but if you would like to react to this, you are open to.
I often use social media to with the aim to wind down after a stressful day. But yeah, that doesn't really work. I live in London and it's very intense, and my job is very intense. And for example, on Friday night, I was walking on my way home and a homeless man gets up, starts threatening to punch me and my friend. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is stressful. Call the police. It's not going to be dealt with, but whatever. And then I get home and I think, right, now I will sit down with my phone, scroll. I'm always going to call it Twitter, X. And yeah, all you see is videos of violence in London, crime in London, war abroad. And you're just like, wait, this is not really very relaxing. But it's just the cycle that a lot of us are stuck in. And I think that the algorithm is obviously feeding me the things that I'm concerned about, which it's probably negative for my outlook on life, but it does motivate you to change things. So there's pros and cons.
I think that it is not just about where young people are or what kind of channel they use. It's more important to talk about very important and interesting phenomena. And usually I try to speak a lot about this. And this is the problem of authorities. Mm-hmm. So with the disappearing of the Gutenberg galaxy, authority has been disappearing from societies. We often speak negatively about authority as if it were the enemy of democracy. And just a quick note, because we speak a lot of democracy and confuse with terms like welfare state, which are not the same things. But back to the recent recent revolution in communication technology, when the internet and social media first became widespread, many people thought that many people were optimistic and thought that it would develop the quality of democracy. I don't think that that communication technologies have only negative impact, but the prevailing view is today that anyone can be an expert on anything. They just need to have access to the internet. And back in time, we used to believe the doctor, the teacher, the journalist. But today it is harder and harder, and the main problem is that that today societies are divided to extreme, and I have my truth, you have your truth. And because this is the case, young people are become more vulnerable. And I think that this is the reason why they search not just for information, but they search answers for their questions, because authorities has been disappearing from our society, and they are not sure what they should think about the world and whom they can ask for it.
Thank you. So shall we jump to the next question, or you would like to react? Okay. So the big question is, who addresses whom? What characterizes the political communication with young people? Are political actors seeking them out more, or are young voters and the future voters are seeking out the political actors more? What do you think about this?
Well, I think that if all the young people are on social media, which is again what all the research shows, then I think that political candidates and actors have to go there to meet them. And they really are. And as they mentioned in the previous panel, this is what Trump understood during the 2024 election cycle. And this is something that I think the Democrats were a lot better at for a lot longer than the Republicans, but the Republicans are starting to realize and understand that and are getting better at it. But we have to meet the young people where they are. So like, the Trump campaign, they joined TikTok. The Democrats have been on TikTok for years. The Trump campaign joined, the White House joined, and they got millions of followers within a couple months, like very quick amount of time. And they're getting crazy engagement, hundreds of thousands of likes, millions and millions of views. And so we really are meeting them where they are. And especially now, like young people, they're rejecting all of the mainstream. They're rejecting mainstream media. They're rejecting, mainstream TV. They're not going on and watching, CNN and MSNBC and Fox. They're on social media. They're looking for different types of content. They're looking for the new media, new age media. They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, and I think that we are meeting them where they are. And the right is getting better at it. I think it helped Trump a lot in 2024. And like they mentioned in the previous panel, he had his son, his very young son, who helped guide him on joining those podcasts where the young people are going on TikTok and going on social media. And at the same time, it is, on social media, if the young people are there and they're not even looking for political content, it's going to come to them regardless, because it's everywhere. I mean, whether for good or for bad, everything is political now, which is another whole conversation. But every single person in Hollywood has to put out their political statements and their endorsements, and you can't follow your favorite fitness influencer or beauty influencer without seeing politics. It's just everywhere. Miss Rachel, she's a very popular kids show host in the U.S. And she's been in the news a lot because she's been getting very political. And I mean, this is like for little toddlers, like a little kid show. Politics is everywhere on social media, everywhere. So if the young people are there, they're going to see it. But we can also do more outreach on social media and try to target them specifically, which is what we're doing.
Yeah, Miss Rachel, unfortunately, is very popular in the United Kingdom as well, which is resulting in toddlers having strange American accents and reacting. Parents post these videos of their tiny babies under a year old, and as soon as Miss Rachel's voice comes on, they're alert and they're listening. I don't like her at all. She's pushing transgender ideology and divisive Middle East politics onto babies, which is insane. But yeah, also the White House, their videos are hugely popular in the United Kingdom, especially the Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah. Maybe slightly tasteless, but just the boldness is very attractive. Like, we don't care anymore, this is what we're doing. People will have more success if they just have the courage and the boldness to say, this is what we want, and we're going to go ahead and do it. Across the political spectrum in the United Kingdom, politicians, especially political leaders or aspiring political leaders, are using short-form video to reach young people. Starting on the right with the Reform Party, Nigel Farage has long been doing this, and he used to be mocked for it. He used Cameo to do funny birthday messages for, I think, like teenage boys paying to have a personalized birthday message, and people were thinking, wow, this is the end of his career. He used to be a big deal. He led the Brexit movement, and now he's being paid to do these silly videos. He also did go on a reality TV show called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which is sort of known for being the final stage of your career, failed actors that go on and eat bugs on TV and... but he was hugely popular, and I think people saw a side to him that made him more human, and people who said, I don't like his politics, but you've got to admit he's a great guy, he's funny, whereas the former health secretary, Matt Hancock, who was responsible for a lot of lockdown issues, went on, and people just thought, no, like him even less now, he's awful. He used that, it was very popular. And now it's come about that the current government has decided to lower the voting age to 16. So Farage was totally right to target that demographic, because they are his fans. They're not actually going to vote for the Labour government, which has lowered the vote, thinking, yes, young people are left-wing, we're going to get them. Keir Starmer has tried to do videos, but people just find him very robotic, very cringe, don't pay attention to him. Then we have the Conservative Party Member of Parliament, Robert Jenrick, who he has now had the most viewed political video in British history, where he went to underground tube stations and filmed people that were jumping over barriers and not paying for tickets and following them and saying, why aren't you paying for a ticket? And it's just a problem which bothers a lot of people, and he just thought, you know what, I'm going to make a video about it. And it went completely viral. It was huge. There is also the Green Party leader, Zach Polanski, who does the sort of TikTok trends, dancing and singing. It's very uncomfortable to watch. He's 43. I think he needs to stop. But he is so popular with young people because of the Green Party's stance on Israel-Palestine. So it's working for him. I find it very cringe, but the young people love it, so it's working. And politics is inextricable from all forms of communication because it is the main subject. I think the main impact on where social media divides generationally is it's there for people who have the leisure time, whether that is the under 21s or retired people. Facebook for boomers is huge. A lot of the sort of patriotic groups, and remember when we had proper bin men and putting flags up. That's another group which is targeted definitely by reform, because it's like you remember a country which doesn't exist anymore and we can bring it back. And for the young people, it's your life has kind of sucked your whole life and we can change it. So both groups being targeted from social media, but yeah, young people definitely.
And also it seems then they are not just politicians but entertainers. So it's like it's a very hard, what I would say, not very hard, but it's a little bit a gray zone between the two, and it's very hard to find your way inside this zone.
Maybe that has been influenced by Trump. People have seen how wildly popular he has been since his TV days. So the American influence on UK politics is, for good or bad, very, very strong.
Thank you.
Based on our research findings and data, I would say that today or right now, political actors should or need to connect with young people, as most of them are not actively searching for political information or political content. They don't follow party pages, don't watch campaign videos, and don't read long political statements. Yes, influencers, creators, humor, personal stories can grab their attention, and people who can speak in more casual way and more accessible and understandable way. So if it's just about a press conference or political slogan, they will ignore it. But if young people care about something, whether, I don't know, climate issues or other things, mental health or digital rights, then they can be incredibly engaged. So they will search for more information, they will share resources. But what is important to hear is that the authenticity. So it is more than important for them. So it's an imbalanced dynamic politicians should make the first move and communicate in a way that fits the platforms and the culture. And as I have mentioned, that authenticity is more important for them than the policy details. So if a politician can speak casually, show vulnerability, or even laugh at themselves, then they can get more attention than those who just educate young voters from above.
So if we have to make like a decision about like entertainment, authenticity, and political message, how would you divide them? Which is the most important? Because you said about then authenticity is actually very important. The question is for you, Georgina.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
I think that, of course, all of these elements are very important for them, but the first step is authenticity. Mm-hmm. So if they don't believe in the people or the politicians, then they won't listen to them. So this is the first step. And how they communicate with young people, it is also very important, because it is not just about the policy. It's more important that they can believe that this politician will achieve their goals or not. I think that the first step is...
And the last one is the political message. What do you think?
Of course, the political message is important because I'm a political scientist and I should tell this, but I don't know for them what. So I think it can be important to them, but if you are not able to send your message in a way how they like, then it is not important what is your message is about.
Thank you. Okay, so shall we jump to the next question? Yes, we already talked about some issues already. So my question would be, then what issues most motivate young people and what are they most sensitive to? Do we see generational changes in this regard? And if so, what are they? Please.
So according to most data, the issue that young people are most worried about is the economy. So in the U.S., in 2010, the average price of a home was $275,000, and now in 2025, it almost doubled to $512,000. So people are very worried about young people are very worried about how they're going to be able to afford to buy a home, especially young men. How are they going to afford to feed a family? And I think that it's something that, generational changes. It's going to take many, many years, I think, to fix that. But what's interesting is that someone mentioned in the previous panel that the young people's shift to the right during the last election cycle, and a lot of it was inspired by immigration. And when you look at the numbers in the U.S. again, the immigration numbers are actually causing a lot of the issues with the economy. So for example, like in New York City, somewhere between like 30 and 40% of all housing is occupied by foreigners, which a massive majority of that being illegal aliens.
And sorry, illegally occupied or legally occupied?
Yeah, so a big majority of that being illegal aliens. They were putting up illegals. Yeah, I'm referring to illegals. So it didn't differentiate, but they were putting up illegals in hotels and in apartment buildings in New York City for years, millions. They were spending billions of dollars. They were putting up hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens, people who came to the U.S. illegally.
And who pays for that?
We pay for it, which ties into what I'm saying, which is how it's affecting the economy. And then a couple weeks ago, right, we had a government shutdown in the U.S. So all of the food benefits were paused, and then people started asking questions about that and looking into it, and it turns out that the majority of people in the U.S. who are receiving taxpayer-funded food benefits were actually illegal aliens, and everyone's just like, wait, what's happening here? And And like, it turns out that when you look at the numbers, we're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars to pay for illegal aliens housing, food, education. They're giving them sometimes like cash cards, just handing out, debit cards so they can go buy whatever they want. Healthcare, like they mentioned in the previous panel, when you go to the emergency room, the illegal aliens, a lot of them, they're like taking them over. So it's affecting like every aspect of our life, but also in when you look at the numbers, the amount of money that we're spending on it. So that's something that I think correlates, and it's something that young people are thankfully they're realizing now that the illegal immigration is really a big issue when it comes to the economy, which is what the young people are worried about. So I think that, Trump is obviously working on that a lot. We're only just getting started. It's been less than a year, but I think the next 3 years, he's gonna obviously be ramping up all of the deportations, closed borders. Just now that they came out with the numbers for the 7th month in a row, not a single illegal alien was released into the U.S. So, these are really good numbers. And I hope that besides for everything else Trump is doing, with the economy, just the illegal immigration aspect, I hope will have lasting impact that young people can realize and actually feel. Not just young people, we all want to feel the impact of a good economy, but that's specifically what young people are worried about.
And do the young people are afraid about their security issues? So because like economy, immigration, and the third could be the security.
Which issue?
It's like an important issue for them. The security would be.
In terms of illegal immigration?
Yes, and in terms of economy, because these are all related.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, they want to feel secure that they're going to be able to support a family. And that is something that all the research shows they are very worried about. And I think that they are realizing that the illegal immigration issue is tied to economic it's security, but also physical, by the way. Like every single day there are stories about violence caused by illegal aliens in the U.S. And that's something that I think is a big topic in the new media, which is where the young people are going for their news. So they are realizing that, and they're taking note, and they're voting based on that.
Thank you. And how this situation is formulating in the UK?
I think there are two motivating issues for young people, or for all people really. The one is your life experience, the declining living standards, and the other is a sense of justice. So there's a reason we have the phrase luxury beliefs. Once all of your needs are met, then you might vote based on who cares about trans issues or foreign conflicts or climate crisis. But when your needs aren't met and you are struggling to pay rent and you're taxed so much, you're going to vote based on those things. And as Brent Buchanan said, the institutions just don't work for under 50s. If you think the NHS, older people are much more, that's the National Health Service, older people are much more likely to use it. Pensions, we've got a triple lock on them, which younger taxpayers are paying for. We got a winter fuel allowance for pensioners, despite 27% of them being millionaires, and I think young people see this and just think that is total injustice. Like, why am I working so hard? My living standards are terrible, and I don't benefit. And I am going to show how Gen Z or Generation Z I am by saying I am ashamed to admit I'm a huge fan of the Wicked movie franchise, but there is a song in Wicked which is called No Place Like Home, and she sings, "Why do I love this place that's never loved me?" And I was like, yeah, I really feel that. Whether it's lockdowns or immigration, net zero policies, my living standards are not what they could be, and it feels like a definite choices that have been made to put us in that position. Also the sense of injustice that we have hotels up and down the country full of people who have already broken the law to enter the country illegally, and they get free rooms in hotels, private healthcare, so they get put above people that are on waiting lists for NHS healthcare. And then in the news every day is, oh, a hotel migrant has raped someone, has stabbed someone. We've got the grooming gangs, and you just think, why are they, why are we rewarding people that have already broken the law, and then our taxes are having to be spent to put them in prison, and now we've got a problem with foreign criminals being released by accident, then there's police chases around the country. It's just, young people see this and think, something's got to change, this country is not working properly. But it could be optimistic to think that the majority of young people are seeing this. The issues don't mean that they're sensitive to it. They can labour under false consciousness, as Marx put it. But generational change is material interest in political change. Young people are generally more revolutionary because the pre-existing system benefits asset holders, and that's not us.
Thank you.
Young people continue to show a strong interest in social issues that have a direct impact on their future, with particular emphasis on immigration, climate change, sustainable development, and innovation in the digital world. And as in previous years, sustainability and environmental issues were key topics in public discourses in 2024. And young people are playing an active role worldwide in climate protection. And emerging young activists initiated legal proceeding worldwide to protect the climate. Furthermore, the Your Voice, Your Future campaign launched by African Union, EU, and UNICEF has engaged hundreds of thousands of young people who has spoken out about the lack of environmentally friendly initiatives and the need for more green jobs. So we see that young people are become more open to global issues, and the fear of the future, whether justified or not, has a strong impact on their political activity. And one quick note, in a survey conducted by the Youth Research Institute and the Signal at the beginning of this year, we asked young people living in Hungary and in the United States what they thought we should talk more about in the future, and we have got very similar answers, at least the first couple of topics. And according to them, we should talk more about the future, mental health, and the climate change. So, in other words, these topics are the most important for them. And it, of course, it doesn't mean that they are not also interested in domestic politics, but there are some global issues that successfully can successfully to appeal young people. And a good news that family also very important for them. So.
That's great. But I was wondering then why climate change is still like an important issue. Okay, it maybe looks or hears old, but nowadays we hear about all the time about the war in Ukraine and so on, and how the Russians will overthrow Europe and so on. And do these questions are concerning young people at all, especially when we are hearing about the coming back of a mandatory army service and so on. Do you have any information about this, or you didn't question the young people about these questions?
Of course, Yeah, for young people here in Europe, it is important. I mean, they fear of the war and the pandemic, and all of these changes have a strong impact on young people's sense of security. But we can see that this is a global trend, or on a global scale, these global issues are very important. And basically because they fear of their future, fear of the future, and because, for example, the climate change or climate issues can have a direct impact on their lives. And this is why they are think that it is very important to talk about and to solve this problem. Just let me give you another example, because we regularly ask young people about their family formation plans. And on the one hand, we see that they would like to get married at some point in their future. They consider it is important to have children. They think that the family is a very important value, both in Hungary or in the United States. But on the other hand, they regularly postpone starting a family until their 30s, which increases the likelihood that not all planned children can be born by the end of the day. And of course, having family and starting family and having children is a very complex decision-making process, and many factors have a strong impact on young people's decision about their future. But we can also see that, for example, climate ideology has a strong impact on young people's thinking about their future. For example, a third of the respondents living in the United States believe that it is important not to have many children in order to save the planet. Even though we know today that if we try to save the planet or protect the environment, we need more clean and advanced technology. And if we don't have enough children, we won't have enough talented people who can develop this technology. But we can see that the climate question or the climate issue is very important for them.
Thank you. Of course, you already mentioned about those values, which I would like to question, because at the end of the day, these are the values which are living for, it's worth to live for. I mean, it's like in general, like God, country, and family, as the old values are, which are still relevant in my worldview as well. So the question is, in general, has young people's commitment to traditional values as such as God, country, and family changed over the years? How do you view this? And let's start with about how do you see in the global trends and the US?
Yeah, so there's definitely, I mean, all the research shows there is a decline in religious affiliation in the younger you go, the younger demographics. However, in the last election cycle, we did see every single demographic going to the right. We did see, I mean, I personally think, I haven't seen any data on this, but after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was this crazy trend, crazy in a good way, this trend of young people suddenly coming out. They're interested, they're asking questions, they're showing up to events, they're showing up to church. Like people, they're searching for the truth, and I think that his assassination really shocked the world, but people, I think it woke up a lot of people, and people are like, wait, what's going on here? Charlie more than anyone knew the power of young people. That was his entire platform, right? He went out and he talked to young people. That's what he did. He went to college campuses, and he was killed for simply talking to young people. That's why he was murdered. While engaging in a debate. So the power of talking to young people, allowing them to question their ideas, guiding them to the truth. I mean, that's something that Charlie understood, and after he was killed, I think it created this ripple effect of so many young people asking themselves, what's going on here, and the church attendance like skyrocketed after his assassination. So many churches across the U.S. were reporting that. So I do think that in general now, young people, they're searching for the truth. That's what they're searching for, and I think that if we guide them there through social media or through debate and engagement, like Charlie did, I think they're going to get there, and I think that they are. We are seeing that shift.
Thank you.
I think one of the things about Charlie Kirk was that he didn't just tell the truth, but he really showed an example of what it is to be a Christian, which was incredible. And his surname Kirk is the Scottish word for church, so I thought that was great that even in the UK, like his assassination had a huge influence across the pond. Churches were full that weekend after he was shot. But I had some serious envy watching his memorial service and seeing just a stadium full of people singing worship songs and thinking we would never, ever have that in the UK. If a conservative commentator was shot, it would not be televised. We wouldn't have huge worship bands playing stadiums. We wouldn't have Keir Starmer there. That just would not happen. And I really hope one day we can, because it was incredible to see. Newspapers are reporting that we have they're calling it the quiet revival, an increase in young people going to church, but it seems to be the Church of England and the Catholic Church. The Church of England is very liberal. It's definitely strayed from its roots, but I think people are attracted by tradition. Young people are attracted by tradition and structure and history, especially when a lot of secular institutions have abandoned history and tradition and British culture. But we are a generation whose parents, our parents were influenced by new atheists and just abandoned that. And if you are not rooted in layers of faith and national identity and community and family, then you're very lost. So I think a lot of young people are just looking for something to be part of. I hope that it is genuine, though, and like a genuine belief in the gospel, rather than what I sometimes see online is people attaching Christianity to being right-wing and sometimes using it to justify some not very nice beliefs, some like racism and this is a Christian country, so everyone else needs to leave, rather than, as Jesus said, love your neighbor. And it's they've got to be very careful that it's not a show or a thing that they think should be tagged on to being right-wing, and that it should be genuine. So I hope that is the case.
Thank you.
I can completely agree with you that traditional values are more than important, and it is not just my opinion, because we conducted an international research on this topic, on values, and according Hungarian people, family is the most important value. And unfortunately today we should raise the question, how can we define family? But according to Hungarian young people, according to Hungarian young people, the ideal family formation is the traditional family formation. They think or they believe that in an ideal family, the father and the mother are present, they are married, the biological parents live together and raise their children together, and the grandparents are actively involved in raising children. So they seem to believe in the idea of traditional family formation, and I also think that it is a national concern to help young people to fulfill their dream or to help them to find communities and start a family.
Thank you very much. And it seems then it was our last question. Do we ask our guest to formulate a question for our panelists? Do you have questions? If no, then I would like to thank you very much for this wonderful conversation. I'm really delighted to have this, and I would like to thank for all of our guests as well to listen us, and please be stayed after our little bit of lunch because we will continue with the third panel very soon. Thank you very much.